Have you ever sat in a quiet room, holding an old photograph in your hand, a picture of you and your sibling, two children with messy hair, mismatched clothes, and wide, innocent smiles? You stare at those frozen faces, and something inside you whispers, "How did we get here?" Once upon a time, you knew their laughter better than your own heartbeat. You shared secrets whispered beneath blanket forts. You fought over the last slice of cake, made promises sealed with pinkies, and imagined futures where nothing, not time, not distance, not life, could pull you apart. And yet today, you feel like strangers, polite, distant, almost foreign. If you've ever felt this quiet ache, you are not alone. Because no matter how close we once were, many of us wake up one day and realize the people who shared our childhood no longer share our lives. Today we'll journey into 7 deep, untold reasons why siblings drift apart. Reasons rooted not just in life circumstances, but in the hidden wounds, unspoken roles, and psychological shadows that shape who we become. And if you've ever carried that sting of distance, maybe by the end, you'll finally understand why. Before we begin, pause for a moment. If something in this video stirs a quiet place within you, if you've ever felt yourself drifting away from the people who once felt like your whole world, then subscribe to Deep Psyche. Now, let's go deeper. Reason 1, different childhoods, same house. 2 children, 1 roof, same parents, and yet, 2 entirely different worlds. You see, you and your sibling didn't just grow up together. You grew up inside different versions of the same story. Birth order, expectations, timing, they change everything. Maybe you were the firstborn, carrying the weight of responsibility while your younger sibling was allowed to be free. Maybe you were the quiet one, fading into corners, while they learned to speak louder just to be noticed. Same home, same rules, but different parents. Because parents evolve too. By the time your sibling came along, your mother might have been softer or harder. Your father might have been present for one childhood and absent for the other. So even though you lived side by side, you walked away carrying different maps of reality. And when our stories diverge, our hearts often follow. Reason 2, the roles we never chose. Every family is a stage, and whether we like it or not, we're assigned roles. The responsible one, the troublemaker, the golden child, the invisible one. These labels begin as whispers, but over time they harden into walls. If you were the achiever, maybe you resented their freedom. If they were the favorite, maybe they grew up blind to your quiet pain. And here's the cruel part. We don't always outgrow these roles. Even decades later, when you sit at the same table as adults, you can still feel that old script running beneath the surface. It creates tension no one speaks of. It makes you strangers, even when you share the same blood. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Those childhood roles, they become the unconscious scripts steering our relationships until we decide to rewrite them. Reason 3, unspoken wounds, unheard apologies. There are hurts too small for anyone else to notice, but too deep for us to forget. A cruel word thrown in anger, a broken promise on a night you needed them most. Moments when you felt abandoned, misunderstood, unseen. You told yourself you'd moved on, but inside those wounds calcified into quiet resentment. The problem is, siblings often grow up in homes where emotions are never fully spoken. Apologies are rare. Pain is buried beneath layers of laughter, sarcasm, or silence. And so what's unresolved festers. Years pass, until one day the distance between you isn't caused by a single event, but by 1,000 tiny fractures no one ever named. Reason 4, the weight of comparison. Few relationships are as tangled in comparison as siblings. From childhood, you're measured against each other. Who's smarter? Who's prettier? Who's braver? Who earns more? Who made something of themselves? Even when parents don't intend it, comparison seeps in like poison. One sibling may grow up carrying the burden of never being enough. The other carries the guilt of always being too much. And as adults, rather than heal, we sometimes escape. Because avoiding the person who reminds us of our wounds feels easier than confronting them. Blood doesn't always guarantee belonging. Reason 5. Different selves, different worlds. As children, your lives were intertwined. Same routines, same school runs, same bedtime stories. But adulthood scatters us. One day you realize your sibling has become someone you no longer recognize. Their beliefs are different. Their choices confuse you. And you wonder, how can two people who once shared a crib now feel like they live on separate planets? This isn't always about conflict. Sometimes it's just growth. And growth rarely happens in parallel. But here's the quiet tragedy. We often mistake change for loss. Instead of learning who they become, we hold on to who they used to be until we drift. Reason 6. Parental shadows. Whether we admit it or not, our relationships with our parents bleed into our relationships with each other. If one of you carried more of the emotional labor, if one of you bore the brunt of anger while the other escaped, if one of you was loved conditionally while the other was adored unconditionally, these patterns don't vanish. They echo. Sometimes siblings aren't really estranged from each other. They're estranged from the versions of themselves they became to survive the same house. To heal that, you can't just talk to each other. You have to confront the ghosts of your childhood. Reason 7. Silence becomes a habit. At first, the silence is small. A missed birthday call. A postponed plan. You tell yourself, we'll talk next week. But weeks turn into months. Months into years. One day, the silence feels too heavy to break. You wonder if they'd even want to hear from you. And in that hesitation, the gap widens. Not out of malice, but out of fear. And so, what began as neglect hardens into estrangement. Here's the hardest thing to accept. Sometimes it's nobody's fault. It's not that you stopped loving each other. It's that life kept changing, and neither of you knew how to carry each other into those changes. And yet, here's the miracle hidden beneath the ache. That bond you shared as children, it doesn't truly vanish. Beneath the silence, beneath the roles, beneath the wounds, there is still a part of you that remembers what it felt like to be seen without explanation. And if both hearts are willing, even decades later, it's possible to find your way back. Not to who you were, but to who you've both become. If this resonates, know this. Your feelings are valid, your longing is real, and your story isn't over yet. If you're carrying unspoken wounds or searching for pieces of yourself you thought you'd lost, subscribe to Deep Psyche. Here we explore the hidden patterns that shape our lives and the quiet ways we can finally heal them. Because sometimes understanding isn't just knowledge, it's freedom.